Welcome back to another exciting review here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel. This time we're covering another small independent movie that's on streaming, not in theaters. Just because it's hard to see new movies in theaters, we're covering Shudder's Random Act of Violence, which is a comic book horror movie. To join us, talk about Random Acts of Violence with one of the stars from How to Train Your Dragon films, which I think is hilarious, is Katie, the blonde in front of here.
Hello, fiends and freaks. Yes, the blonde in front of theater here, talking about Random Acts of Violence, directed by Jay Baruchel and starring Jesse Williams, Jordana Brewster, and Jade Baruchel. This is a story about a man named Tom Walke. He has written the #1 R-rated comic book in the world, or maybe North America, called Slasher Man. It is inspired by an actual serial killer, at least in the film, that called the I-90 killer that butchered people from 87 to 91. He is taking it on the road for its final distribution, or until he makes the very final Slasher Man comic. So he's got his production manager, or the guy who produces the comic book, Ezra, played by Jay Baruchel, Jordana Brewster, who plays his girlfriend Kathy, and then Tom's assistant, and they're going to take a little road trip to the United States. They're in Canada, and go to the fans and show Slasher Man what it's all about. Unfortunately, what they do not realize is that the protagonist, as he calls Slasher Man, is actually looking at the books and looking at what's going on, and he's got an idea for an ending that may not agree with everyone on this road trip. I thought that this is a pretty damn good horror film, especially for someone. I believe this is Baruchel's directorial debut, and as far as directing, lighting, number of things production-wise and just technically-wise, I thought it did a great job. I thought the casting was fantastic. I thought the story was, original. They added different areas of light that I really loved. You had scenes where you didn't necessarily have obvious kills. I will say this, the first kill that you do see is, one, I lost count when I actually was trying to count the stabbings that this guy was doing, and I lost count after 14. Then when you see the aftermath of what he does, it's like something out of a horrific image of Dante's Inferno. That takes some grotesque imagination, and Baruchel really hits it out of the park. I will say this is definitely a slasher that we have not seen in quite some time. The blood is very bloody, the gore is very gory, but it also has a little moral compass to it, because as Tom's girlfriend Kathy points out, he lionizes the violence, and he keeps calling the protagonist of his books, which is actually a literary term, yes, but usually when you hear protagonist, you think of protagonist as the hero. The Slasher Man is definitely not the hero, but there's definitely some things there's some things in the film that didn't make much sense. Now, Kathy is writing a book, apparently on the I-90 killer's victims, because they're the people that she feels actually should be seen. In a sequence in the film when they're in a police station and the police sergeant actually shows her Tom's comics and she sees the image, she apparently has never seen these images, is not aware of what he's writing. But that, to me, I thought felt kind of weird, because it's like you're writing a book on the victims of this I-90 killer. Your boyfriend has done a series of comics that was inspired, or he was inspiration, but yet you haven't seen the work. I just thought that was kind of, I don't know. There's very much the kill culture that's apparent in this film. One of the things, though, that I think Baruchel could have done better, when you see Tom and his crew at like a convention for Slasher Man and stuff like that. I wish they actually would have done it. I mean, look, this is a tight 83 minutes, but I really wish they would have shown that convention circuit just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because especially if this is supposed to be like the number one, R-rated horror comic book, I don't know. To me, that tells me they didn't do background of what a convention is.
No, they had a tight close-up of that one table. That's it. Yeah.
And I mean, it looked like it was in a garage. I mean, you could do a whole, this guy, if it's the number one, he definitely got some money. They're not staying like 5-star hotels, but they're staying at places enough that, he should be charging money for the signing stuff and whatnot. And I think that just would have been a nice little thing to see how many people are like, really embedded. And like, one of the guys that comes to him on the table, he says to him, it's like, this writing is my life. It's my religion. It's like, I'm inspired by it like every day. That's kind of crazy.
A little bit.
I don't know, but I also think that's sort of the point that Bayerso's making when he wrote the screenplay. It's like talking about like, Tom's making art, but, you're making art off the death of others. And I feel like, like I said, it looks at the kill culture that people are obsessed with. They rather, idolize a killer and that mystique and all that stuff than actually find out who these people are that he killed. And that's a different little take on films that you don't see that often, especially on the independent side. Like I said, I think Bayerso actually did a pretty damn good job directing this. I think the casting was great. The man who plays Slasher Man, Simon Northwood, I'm not saying he was sexy because he was Slasher Man. I just want to get that out there. But he was a good-looking fella. He's bald. He's tall. He's got that, broad shoulders. I think that was great. He's got this rugged handsomeness. I feel bad that I find him attractive knowing that, but I also know that it is a film. I'm not going to be going out and writing letters or doing anything like that.
Katie, that's the same thing. That's like all the men and lesbians who have fallen in love with Stormfront until they realize what she was on The Boys. That's a whole other conversation, but go on.
Yeah, but, I like this film. Like I said, it's 83 minutes. He has an amazing job when, I actually reviewed something, an independent short where, using the tricks of light and then the big reveals that you don't need a lot of money to do, and you don't need a CGI to do that. And I like that he did this with this film. One of the things, though, I feel like some of the practical effects, some of them were fantastic, grotesque, like beyond realistic, really hard to watch. And then there were some that I was like, that could have been much, much better. But overall, one other thing, I really wish that the reveal that seemed like it wasn't too revealing because it seemed pretty obvious to me regarding Tom's background. I feel like that could have been like revealed, like just don't do any sort of hint or foreshadowing or anything. Just do the reveal in a full scope to show what it is. And I think that actually could have made the film better. But other than that, I dug it. I give it a cheers for fear and say you should watch it. And I actually also am very much looking forward to seeing what Bayerso does in the future, whether it's horror, anything, any genre. I think he's got a talent.
The artwork in this movie was not done by, of course, the person in the film, but the horror graphic novel itself was written by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray, who have worked with Amanda Conner a lot. Amanda Conner works on Harley Quinn and has worked on Vampirella and several other titles. And the illustrations by Giancarlo Caracuzzo. He has worked for Marvel Comics on Orson Scott Card's Forensic Wars, Silent Strike, Cable, and Gorilla Man, which is not a title that I'm too familiar with, but he's currently running around with the agents of Wakanda. But the artwork in this movie I thought was phenomenal, as it was really cool to see that they hired real comic book people to work on it. I met Jimmy Palmiotti several times, and hopefully get the chance to meet him again to talk to him about this movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely get Shudder. There's always like 30 days of free Shudder coupons out there, or sign up for a month. It's only like $5 a month to sign up for like unlimited like horror content. That's just unbelievable. Like Holliston just went on Shudder, which is fantastic if you've never seen it. Check out the rest of the great reviews here on the Radio Horror YouTube channel, and check out Katie's other reviews on her Facebook page as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.